Welcome to No Longer Conformed, my online preaching and teaching ministry. We are studying the book of Matthew, the first gospel. In this session, we're looking at Matthew chapter 20, verses 1 through 16. The ground is level at the cross. The kingdom of heaven is like. This is how Jesus usually introduced a parable. A story comparing the kingdom to something the people could relate to. God is debtor to no man. All the saints will receive the same reward. Some who start later in faith accomplish more than some who start out earlier. Reward is not based on the time of conversion or even the labor accomplished. Our text, Matthew 20, verses 1 to 16, presents a parable about God's kingdom in which two issues are dealt with by Jesus. Two issues. First of all, Jesus presents the call to faith and service in God's business. Look at verse 1 of Matthew chapter 20. Well, first of all, who hired these men? Well, the landowner, who represents God. And where does he find them? Well, in the marketplace, in the world. Verses 1 and 2. For the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire laborers for his vineyard. Now, when he had agreed with the laborers for a denarius a day, he sent them into his vineyard. This was a typical process for getting work done. Day laborers. Day laborers stood in the marketplace, starting at dawn, hoping to be hired. And the typical workday stretched from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And you can see day laborers today. You go to home improvement items like the Home Depot or Lowe's, you will see day laborers standing out waiting to be hired just for the day or for a job. It was a typical process back then, just as it is today. So people just were there hoping to be hired. And notice that he keeps going back to find laborers. Well, the gospel. The third hour, 9 a.m., verses 3 and 4. And he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace and said to them, you also go into the vineyard, and whatever is right, I will give you. So they went. The sixth and ninth hour, the 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock, verse 5. Again, he went out about the sixth and ninth hour and did likewise. The 11th hour, that would be around 5 o'clock. Just about an hour before the day ends. Verse 6. And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing idle and said to them, why have you been standing here idle all day? And they said to him, because no one hired us. And he said to them, you also go into the vineyard, and whatever is right you will receive. The soul of man was designed by his Creator to serve the Lord. Apart from serving God, every man is idle and living in sin. It is to the lost in the world that the gospel is preached. Then the converts to faith in Christ tell others. What are workers to do? Well, they labor in the landowner's vineyard, digging and planting vines, building protective fences, and weeding and watering and pruning and dressing the fruit. The unbeliever remains idle on his way to hell, but the believer is busy all the way to heaven. There is no retirement. What are the wages? Well, a sufficient day's pay, whatever is right. A denarius was a silver coin equal to a Roman soldier's day, a pay for a day. It was considered a fair wage for a day's labor. The Lord who calls people to faith gives the reward. How long are they hired for? Just for the day? A short time. Believers labor briefly on earth for an eternal payment. Some work the whole day, an entire lifetime. Some serve half a day or less, middle age. Some only labor for an hour or so, old age. However, don't presumptuously put off your salvation till the end. So, Jesus first presents the call to faith and service in God's business, and then second, Jesus proclaims the common reward for all believers. Look at verse 8. The laborers are being paid, beginning with the last to be hired and working to the first hired. Here's a clue to the parable's meaning. The workers hired first expected to be paid more than the last ones. When is payment made? Well, it says, when evening had come, verses 8 and 9. So when evening had come, the owner of the vineyard said to his steward, call the laborers and give them their wages, beginning with the last to the first. And when those who are hired about the 11th hour, and when those came who were hired about the 11th hour, they each received a denarius. Faithful servants of Christ will receive their pay after they die in glory. Christians enter the Lord's vineyard at the beginning of new life, and they go out of the workplace at death, and in joy they receive their wage, which is heaven. Two things occur at pay time. All the hired workers got paid the same amount. God gives his rewards by grace and according to his sovereign will, not as a debt to be paid to us. Little work, much work, same pay. Everyone received a fair day's wages for their work. Some of the workers complained about the wages they received. Look at verses 10 through 12. But when the first came, they supposed that they would receive more. And they likewise received each a denarius. And when they had received it, they complained against the landowner, saying, these last men have worked only 1 hour, and you made them equal to us who have borne the burden in the heat of the day. Regardless of how long each of the laborers worked, they each received the full wage. Listen, the thief on the cross will enjoy the full blessings of heaven, along with those who have labored their whole lives in Christ. This is the grace of God. The ground is level at the cross. It's the same for all. Those who worked all day voiced their concern to the landowner who hired them. He responded in verses 13 to 15. But he answered one of them and said, friend, I am doing you no wrong. Did you not agree with me for a denarius? Take what is yours and go your way. I wish to give to this last man the same as to you. Is it not lawful for me to do what I wish with my own things? Or is your eye evil because I am good? So the last will be first and the first last. For many are called, but few are chosen. They argued about fairness in their wages. The landowner had done them no wrong. He gave what they agreed to. He gave of what belongs to him. Who are they to criticize what he does with his stuff? You have a great day.